Jonathan Gresham. We talked about this. If you guys have not subscribed to the Patreon, patreon.com/The A Show RNC. We talked about it on our Patreon about the ROH show that happened over the weekend. I'm sure you guys will enjoy our thoughts on it. Jonathan Gresham, former Ring of Honor champion. Ring of Honor champion as of a few days ago. Reign was ended, seemingly in the span of a 10:30 match on Rampage. His title reign was over, and Fightful Select learned that Jonathan Gresham is requesting his AEW ROH release. Now, if I can,
I think he got it. By the way,
do you think so? If I can, could I read this report? And if anything sticks out to you, sir, please just feel free to interject.
Well, that he's black.
We're told that Gresham met with Tony Khan and others at 4 p.m. before Dishonor and was admittedly heated and not happy with the direction of his booking and his character. It was agreed upon that the context of this conversation would remain private, and details originally didn't seem to emerge from anyone in the locker room. However, by the time the conversation was over, the locker room and staff could physically hear how it went down. He's telling a story. This man, SRS, he's telling a story with this one.
What does Tony sound like yelling back?
Well, you know,
I got CM Punk. He's the rest of the world.
Claudio, Claudio in this moment just has to win. Gresham had spoken with QT Marshall multiple times over the past week, albeit briefly, which we've heard went well. It was also noted that Sanjay Dutt was a point of contact. The frustration on Gresham's part seemed to be the direction of creative, which ultimately ends with Tony Khan, and not being able to be given answers as a result. Gresham was supposedly told that those decisions had to be run by Tony, who he wasn't able to meet with until a few hours before the show. Little did he know that the boom was already dropped. I included that in myself. I'm almost sure Jonathan Gresham walked in that locker room and him and Tony Khan and Cesaro were chuckling up. It's like, I'll see you later, nigga.
He was just like, Tony said, so you bought a boat, my nigga? And then Cesaro said, yeah.
I'm going to show you later. Let me grab my phone and I'll be right back. That's I'm sure what Cesaro said. And they was like, oh, hello, Jonathan.
We're just shooting shit, man. What's good, man?
The general preferred process is that the talent speaks to AEW coaches who are then in contact with Tony Khan. If the conversations are about booking, then they have to be relayed to Tony. The coaches pass on dozen ideas, either from themselves or talent to Khan, who is then in charge of making those ideas a reality or deciding that they don't fit. Those answers are then relayed back to the talent. For those asking about names involved in that, it's usually AEW coaches, as well as Christopher Daniels, QT Marshall, Pat Buck.
That's a nasty lineup. If you were holding my career in your hands, that is a nasty lineup.
That is a death row. You ain't getting a straight answer back. We talked to him and just say,
I can't trust Pat Buck because he'll lie and dip on a nigga and then turn around and go sign with another nigga.
I just can't trust QT Marshall. I don't know. Maybe he's a good guy. I don't know. Maybe he is. They're also planning such a, I'm going to skip that part. It was said that AEW side of things believed that Gresham came into the meeting with his mind made up, and they had not seen him heated like that before, chalking it up to Gresham being passionate about his beliefs in ROH, the brand, and himself. They felt as there was a disconnect between the access to speak to people about their creative and it becoming perceived creative control. Gresham was said to have a vision for his creative direction and where things should go with him, and it was different from what Tony Khan and ROH had hoped for him. Listen, this shit happens in WWE all the time, by the way.
Yeah, it does. But is Tony running his company like How to Make It in America?
Potentially. I mean, to be honest with you, maybe.
This is crazy.
Specifically, we learned that Gresham wasn't in favor of turning heel, but those at ROH believed that there was a bigger whooping Cesaro whooping that ass.
Bigger picture meaning that you would be a heel, you get beat, you get sent to dark, and you be another black guy on dark.
We're told that the finish had been at least hinted to Gresham, but no word on if he knew before Saturday.
He said, hey, so when after Saturday, right, we got to talk about the plans. We got to talk about what's going on. He was just
I got some ideas of some niggas I want to face. I want, let me get into it. Brian, I think a good match.
He said, Brian who? Brian Adams? Nigga? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think a great match with title for title. What do you think about that? Rampage. I know you can't really do it on Dynamite, but Rampage. Moxley versus Gresham. I think it'll do big numbers on Rampage. I'm sure he said a lot of things. Listen to me. The writing was on the wall from the tweets that I saw earlier today. Like, those tweets were sad, and they were to the tone of essentially like, I haven't heard anything. Whatever. You don't talk to me. Whatever happens. That's the kind of like gist I got with a lot of things. Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to pull up one of the tweets myself because I remember saying it, and it's like, to be honest, I've not really talked to Tony Khan. I've had very short conversations, and when I say short, I mean short. That's literally verbatim. So I don't know. I would hope that he values me. I don't know though. He said something else too that made me see it. But to be honest with you, it's a sucky situation for Jonathan Gresham, especially someone who came over as an ROH champion who worked to reach the top and was essentially kind of felt like in this situation he was being told, all right, we're going to take the title off of you, and chances are you probably going to have to start over.
Yeah, you have to give it to a bigger star.
Yeah. And for someone who held it down, you know what I'm saying? Like, held it down. Felt like he wasn't disrespected. And to be honest, you as a world champion, if they tout this as a world championship, it's a world championship now that Cesaro got it. I'll tell you that. But if they tout this as a world championship, like, the man was a world champion. Treat him as such. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he had no intention. I think we all saw this, but he had no intention of ever doing right by this guy.
Nah. Well, for Jonathan Gresham ain't even wear the octopus out. So that's how you knew the jig was up. My man did not even wear the octopus to the ring. He was like, no, let's get this shit over with. He says, I mean, there's been rumors that he's stepping away from wrestling for a bit.
Well, he shut Terminus down. He did shut Terminus down.
Yeah. So. He seems like he's stepping away from a bit, especially with a lot of, he has a lot of comments, a lot of other comments about like, I've never been embarrassed by my size. So when wrestling promoters are like, what's your height? I was like 5'4", and they were like,
did you feel as though that height quote had to do with maybe the conversation he had with somebody there? Because that seemed a lot like very pointed. Like,
yeah, to be honest with you, yeah, I could definitely see it happen in AEW. To be honest with you,
because the thing is, if they all short and you shorter than them, that's definitely like a perception issue there.
Well, it's not supposed to be in AEW. It's supposed to be all elite. You know what I'm saying?
He's shorter than Adam Cole though, bro. So like,
yeah, I mean, if you ever wanted an opponent for Adam Cole, that would be it. He also says another quote, it bothers me that you can have a white guy, number one, with no character be great, but then you can have a black guy, same. Oh, he needs a character. But why? Why can't he just be a good wrestler? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like both. That's what I'm saying. I would like both, to be honest with you. Like, don't say I don't think this is a race thing. I think this is a lack of interest thing. Like,
yeah.
Thank you, thing outside. Nah, he needs a character. Like, you need a reference for people to fall in love with. You need some sort of story for people to attach on. You can't just be like you can't be a wrestling guy and then also be like 5'4". Like, you need something. You need to be Butch.
If you're that tall, then you're like a backyard wrestler at that point.
Yeah. Be nigga Butch. You know what I'm saying?
I still like the idea and the look of a wrestler being larger than life. I'm sorry. That's just the way that I've come up. You know what I mean? Like, I do enjoy smaller like wrestlers, but it's like, it's a body industry. It just is.
But I also think like you can make it work with the gimmick that you got. Like, it really depends on the type of story that you're trying to tell.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
There's a manga. Sorry if I'm bringing a lot of anime into this. There's a manga called Haikyuu about a volleyball thing, and the lead character is like a volleyball player, but he's incredibly short. But he makes it up for having, I guess, yes, amazing ability. But it's the story that he's telling of like overcoming a lot of odds. Whereas he doesn't want to overcome odds. He just wants to be a really great wrestler. So he wants no story attached to this. He just wants to have bangers, despite, people need a story to tell. People need something to latch onto. So, I mean, we can end there with Jonathan Gresham. I wish him the best. I hope it isn't over for him. He's an incredibly talented wrestler. I think he just needs to find a situation that fits best with him. And it clearly is an AEW or ROH or whatever ROH is.